Alright, this is the fifth and final video in the geometry review of the following topics. Here is the front of the formula sheet in case you hadn't gotten that, and the back. 23 asks, what is the area of the shaded part of the circle below? So this is a sector of a circle, and this is the arc measure in degrees. Okay, well, that's what we need, that's one of the pieces we need to be able to find this. So if you remember the formula, it's arc over 360. So the number of degrees over 360 degrees, that's how many degrees are in the whole circle, times pi r squared, because we're finding area, and that's the formula for area of a circle. So we are told that the radius is 5 and that the central angle is 90. Remember, the central angle here is the same as the arc measure. So our A is 90. So we'll plug in a 90 and a 5. And when you work this out, you're told to leave it in terms of pi. That means don't type pi in the calculator. Type everything but pi in the calculator. And then just add pi onto the end. So if I type in 90 divided by 360 times 5 squared, I get 6.25. And it's left in terms of pi this way. They didn't give me any units of measure, but your units would be squared because we're talking about area. This is a probability problem. They have this square inside of a triangle, and they want to know the probability that a point inside the square would be randomly selected. So we need to know the area of both. Remember, probability is part over whole, and then to get it as a percentage, you would multiply by 100. But really, when they ask for probability, it could be given as a fraction, a decimal, or a percent. You really don't know until you see your answer choices, or if you're asked to bubble it in, that means they would want it as the decimal. So the right triangle, or it tells you the triangle is a right triangle, so we have a 90-degree angle here, and the legs are 3 and 4. So area of the triangle will be our first step, and that's base times height divided by 2, or times 1/2. Base and height meet at the 90-degree angle, so that's 3 times 4 divided by 2 is 6. So the area, the whole, the entire thing is 6. Now the part that we're wanting to hit, the square, they tell us is 1 by 1. So area of a square is side squared, or length times width would still be 1 times 1. So my part is 1. So your answer could be 1/6. Or if you got it as a decimal, you could, it's a repeating decimal, so depending on what they asked you to round to, we'll just round to thousandths. So that'd be 167. Or if they asked you to do it as a percent, you would take this and multiply times 100. So that would be 16.7%. Here's the area of the trapezoid. Area of a trapezoid formula is on your formula chart. You just need to be sure you're plugging the right values in. So it is 1/2, and then in parentheses, base 1 plus base 2, and then times the height. Remember, the bases are the two sides of the trapezoid that are the parallel sides. So in this case, 15 and 18. So 15 and 18 go in the parentheses. Height, remember, creates a 90-degree angle with the base. That side that says 14 is not the height. That is not a 90-degree angle. So we have to drop the height down, and we have to find that length. Given that this is from here to here is 15, and we're to assume that this is also a 90-degree angle, so this would be 15. That leaves me with 3 units here to here. And I know that this is 14. So again, Pythagorean theorem. We're going to use Pythagorean theorem a lot. So 3 squared plus what I'm looking for, the height squared, is 14 squared. So when you work this out, remember to subtract the 9 over first. Okay, so then you have 14 squared, and you subtract 9 and get 187. Take the square root, and you get approximately 13.67. And that's what plugs in for H. So you can type this into your calculator all at once. Make sure that the parentheses are there. If you want to do it step by step, you have to do addition first. Remember your order of operations. So when you get your final answer, you should have 225.56. This was measured in inches. Area is inches squared. 26 gives you a triangle, and you are told that it is equilateral. That means they're all equal and that they have lengths of 7. What is the height of the triangle? Remember, height, again, makes a 90-degree angle with the base. So I'm going to draw that down. Creates a 90-degree angle. That's what I'm looking for. There's 3 ways to solve this. The way that most of you will probably do this is Pythagorean theorem. And you realize if these are equal, so in an equilateral or an isosceles, when you drop this down, you're cutting the base in half. So this is 3.5, because it's half of 7. And the hypotenuse is 7. So you can work Pythagorean theorem. And that, like I said, is probably the most common way y'all are going to do it. Now, the other way, if you remember that an equilateral is all 60-degree angles, and we cut this in half, this creates a 30-degree. So you have a 30, 60, 90 triangle here, and you could use your 30, 60, 90 chart. Or, knowing either of the acute angles, you could use trig, sine, cosine, or tangent. Any of those 3 options would work. Pythagorean theorem, special right triangles, or trig. Either way that you solve it, you should end up with 6.06 feet. (27) is an irregular shape, and you're asked to find the, and actually not find the area, but write a formula to find the area. So irregular shapes have to be broken into shapes that we have formulas for. There's a couple of ways to do this. I'm just going to show you 2 of them. If I were to continue this side straight up, okay, I've broken this down into 2 rectangles. Hopefully everybody knows area of a rectangle is length times width, or base times height. Okay, so if we look at the triangle on the right, okay, it would be D by E. So area would be D times E, whatever those numbers ended up being. You would multiply them. And this rectangle over here would be A by B. So AB. So to get the total area, your formula would be AB plus DE. And that would be one possible answer. I'm going to show you one other. There's more than just 2 possible answers, but that's all I'm going to show you. If we broke it down in the other direction, this way, and extended this line across. Okay, this rectangle would be B by C. Okay, this is C, it's the same as this side, and B. So BC. And the rectangle up here would be F by E. So you could say BC plus EF. And those are 2 possible answers. That's the end of this series on the geometry review.